morning, everybody. Good to have you all here. We have a nice crowd of people and a number of things to cover today. So I want to begin with a good news item, which is the Lima Home Pride Awards, which are being given out on a quarterly basis by our property maintenance inspectors. So we want to invite Angie Rex and others up to make those presentations. Morning, Angie.
Good morning. Good morning. Two Lima property owners are being recognized today for maintaining their properties as models of exemplary maintenance. The third quarter 2017 Lima Pride Home Awards are presented by the Lima Property Maintenance Inspectors and recognize the positive impact of well-maintained properties within the community. Selected properties must meet Lima property maintenance standards, and the owner may not have any current property maintenance citations on any properties they own within the city. The selected properties must show pride in their ownership and be a model of good maintenance of the neighborhood. Selection is the prerogative of the property maintenance inspectors, but we do encourage people to nominate. If you find someone in your neighborhood that has been putting a lot of time and maintenance into the property, call us up, nominate them. We'd be glad to take a look. We select one winner per quarter. The winners receive a Lima Pride Home plaque, which will be presented today, along with a yard sign to put at the property. Also, Lima Pride Home Award winners can also be seen on the City of Lima's website at cityhall.lima.oh.us. Chase is the inspector right now for the north end, and he chose the property located at 2361 Mandolin Drive, and he's not here to present the plaque, but I will give it to the owners, Gilbert and Erlinda Lindawan.
Congratulations. Now,
Thank you.
would you make some remarks? Tell us about your property, how long you've been there, and why you do what you do.
Well, we've been there for about 25 years now, and there's nothing really special about it. I just like gardening. And I'm surprised somebody gave me this. I think this is cool. Thank you.
The southeast sector inspector is Christa Sprout, and she will present that plaque.
Good morning. The winner for the southeast sector is 733 East Vine Street, and the owner is Brenda Manley Johnson.
Morning, Brenda. Good morning. Why don't you talk to us about your property?
I would just like to say I'm a 65-year-old woman. I've been in Lima all,
Not possible.
yes I am, been here all of my life. And I take pride in where I live at. I've been there for 34 years. I intend to stay there until my demise. And I just love getting out in the yard. And I dedicate this back to my mother, Irene Williamson, and my husband, Reverend Carl Johnson, that didn't get to see this award, but I accept it for them also. Thank you.
Well, as we all know, if a property is deteriorating, it tends to discourage neighbors. But when properties are taken care of, as we just have seen, it tends to encourage neighbors to make similar investments of time and energy. And we really appreciate the investments that have been made, obviously for the long term, by both of these property owners. And we applaud you and thank you for what you're doing in your neighborhood. In a related way, Susan Crotty, who's the Director of Department of Community Development, is also here to introduce two new property maintenance inspectors. Good morning.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. Come on up. It's your time in the spotlight. So, yes, the property maintenance department was really understaffed for quite a while. And we were very fortunate to be able to hire a couple of new property maintenance code enforcement inspectors. I have beside me Dave Williamson and Brandon White. And they both started on June the 5th and have been just doing a great job. They've become acclimated and are learning very quickly and are out there on their own now, pretty much. Angie's very happy about that as the supervisor. She's been working with them, and them being out has freed up more of her time to act as the supervisor. Dave is going to be handling the north side. I know Angie mentioned that Chase had been doing that, but he's also our housing rehab inspector. So we've had a lot of work picking up there too. So Chase is getting more involved in that. Dave will be handling the north side, and then Brandon will be on the southwest side. And everybody on the southeast side knows and loves Christa, so she'll be staying there. But anyway, we're very happy to have them on board, and they're the people that you want to contact if you do have concerns or questions about property maintenance issues in your area.
Gentlemen, why don't you tell us a little bit about your background and the skills you bring to the job?
Yes, sir. Hi, I'm Dave Williamson. I come from customer service. We own flooring stores here in town, and recently just went back to college and got married by the judge here. So excited about the job and appreciate this. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Brandon?
My name is Brandon. I actually came from Allen Metropolitan Housing. I was the public housing manager there, so I have a good knowledge already of what we're looking for when we go out to do, an inspection on a property. So before that, I was in college and graduated from Ohio State here in Lima. I've been in Lima my entire life, so I look forward to working here for the city and working with Angie and Christa and in the community. So I appreciate the opportunity.
Great. Good to have you both. And continuing on the neighborhood theme, Autumn Swanson, our neighborhood support specialist, is here to talk about some grant opportunities for our neighborhoods.
Thanks, Mayor. Good morning. The first thing I wanted to do was announce that recently we had a grant that we do yearly, which is the Lima Neighborhood Matching Grant, and we were able to award 2 of those grants. We have one that was awarded to Lima Allen Neighborhoods in partnership for their community gardens, and we also had one that was offered to Northside Neighborhood Association for capacity building. That grant is offered to neighborhood associations once a year. It's a matching grant, so they need to match that award dollar for dollar. They can match it with volunteer time, in-kind donations. We are very glad and pleased to have awarded those 2 grant opportunities. I also want to mention that we have coming up our Make a Difference Day grant opportunity. It's going to be a mini grant that is offered in the amount of $500. We're going to offer more than one. We're looking to offer 10 of those. They will be offered to nonprofit associations as well as our neighborhood associations. Those grants will become available on the 17th. It will be uploaded to the website, so anyone can go and look at that. The reason that I'm really excited about this project is that it's going to be taking place on Make a Difference Day. Make a Difference Day is a national opportunity where volunteers come together across the country and do projects on that day. So I am looking forward to that. That's October 28th of 2017. One of the things that will be offered as part of this grant is that every person that does a project, even if they don't get a grant, is able to go to the Make a Difference Day national website, upload their project, and have an opportunity to win $10,000 because they offer 10 of those grants to innovative projects for that day. So they have the opportunity to win $10,000. So that's one of the other grant opportunities. I hope that everyone will take an opportunity to think about doing a project on Make a Difference Day. We want to make it a really big impact day for the city of Lima. So hopefully everyone will take an opportunity to go visit our website, view the application, and see if they want to apply for a grant that day. Thank you.
Thank you, Ollie. Appreciate your enthusiasm. Shifting gears, about 2 years ago, when Judge Tammie Hursh took over responsibilities in municipal court, she took the lead on creating a drug court for our community. And subsequently as well, Judge Rodabaugh did the same. And so we want to, first of all, I want to thank them for doing that. I mean, it's really been, I think, a important new set of tools that our community has to be able to deal with the drug and opioid crisis that's occurring in our community. But there are things happening in our community that continue to make this a topic that we need to be very current on, both in terms of the drugs that are on the street and the treatment options that are out there. So, Judge, you have some comments, and then we've got some others on your team that are going to make some remarks about what's going on. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. If I could have the treatment team come up. What we're discussing today, and the chief, please, isn't necessarily specifically drug-related to treatment court. However, it is kind of a notice to the community that the issues that we have are very serious and very dangerous. And the reason why we're coming forward is that we deal with people who are in the community who are dealing with addiction and who are exposed to certain risks. And because of that, we talk about it weekly, about what's out there and what the addicts and the police are dealing with. And it comes to our attention that there are additional concerns that don't just affect Akron or Montgomery County, specifically fentanyl and marijuana, and people that are using substances that they don't realize what is in them. And we're having people very sick as a result. So we wanted to bring that to everyone's attention. We didn't want to become part of the white noise. Everyone's talking about opioid addiction. This is huge in our community, and that's why I asked everyone to be here to talk about it. I'm going to ask the chief to speak, Rick Eddy to speak, and Jay Simpson from UMADOP to speak on what they've seen and what their concerns are. And thank you for letting us be here, Mr. Mayor.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Chief?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Judge. What I would like to start out by saying is just that there are a lot of people that say that marijuana is no big deal, that marijuana is just, it's good for recreational use and that type of thing. And I would just strongly recommend anyone who believes that to check out a website. It is learnaboutsam.org, and it gives a lot of the actual facts. And it will reference all of the scientific research that those facts are proven from, or that they're based upon, to learn that marijuana is not something that's simply no big deal, that it is a very big deal, that it is a gateway drug, that it does in fact in and of itself in many cases leads to addiction, and then can also lead to the use of much more severe and serious drugs. We have seen fentanyl-laced marijuana right here in the state of Ohio. The good news is that it has gotten the attention of some people at the federal level, including Senator Portman, who recently held a press conference regarding fentanyl-laced marijuana. The bad news is, though, that it is happening. And some young person thinking that they're just going to have a simple marijuana high and no big deal, and all of a sudden they smoke it, and it could potentially lead to overdose. We are seeing on average several overdose calls per week based upon opiates right here in the city of Lima. And again, it's not unique to Lima. It's happening all across the state. It's happening all across the nation. But it is something that people need to be aware of. And even with the incidental or accidental exposure on the part of police officers when they are testing drugs or when they are conducting searches, that has caused officers to succumb to the overdose of fentanyl and substances like that, and other officers have had to bring them back with Narcan. So again, it is something that is very, very serious. It's serious enough that we at the Lima Police Department have actually had to review and look at how we need to change our testing processes for marijuana so that we do not have that accidental exposure on the part of officers. But again, if you have then someone who thinks they're simply smoking a joint and then all of a sudden they're ingesting fentanyl, it could be a very tragic consequence for them. So
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. I'm Jay Simpson from the Lima Municipal Court. I am the treatment coordinator. And some of the things that I see from a treatment standpoint is that there is a rise in opiate use. But the scary thing about that is that 75% of our 75% of our clients, and we serve like 90 clients, 75% of those are opiate users. Oftentimes when they come in, they will state that they've been using opiates. But the results from a urinalysis test is that there is no opiates in their system. So oftentimes they're being bought something, or they're being sold something of their knowledge, unknown, which is very scary. Oftentimes when we get the result back from the lab, it's fentanyl in the system. So they're using fentanyl thinking that it's heroin. They're using cocaine thinking that it's, they're using cocaine, but then again, it's fentanyl in that as well. We have a lot of cases to where a point that where clients is using marijuana laced with fentanyl, which is very scary. Oftentimes we have them that's linked into our MAT program, and they're being prescribed Suboxone, and they would end up using also to the point that we're using Vivitrol, and they still take the risk of using a deadly drug like it's fentanyl. Last week we assessed 15 individuals. Out of those 15 individuals, all of them was heroin addicts. All of them was heroin addicts. Last week, we ended up sending 8 clients to our treatment center in Holland because of a lack of being compliant to the treatment. It's a headache sometimes, but then again, it's something that we have to continue to serve. I'm speaking from Lima Municipal standpoint, but I'm pretty sure other agencies that's on the team is very transparent as what I'm speaking now. It's a struggle to sit there and serve a client to get them in recovery, but then again, they still being offered drugs. It's a struggle to be able to serve a female that's actually pregnant and still using opiates. It's a struggle to be able to assess 15 people on an average at Lima Municipal. That's what we're averaging now. We're so busy to the point that we're looking at another building in order to be able to serve the clients that's coming in. It's scary. It's scary when you sit down with a client and you ask them, what drugs have you been using? And they name off 2 or 3 drugs. But upon the results from their urinalysis test, that's not in their system. So they're being sold some stuff that's not even they're aware of, which is scary from a treatment standpoint. Okay, oftentimes I had a client that's on my caseload. He called me last week and told me he had to rush to the hospital to see his brother because his brother was in ICU. He smoked a laced joint, blunt, or whatever you want to call it, and he was in ICU. He was fighting for his life. I spoke with a young mother last week stating that her daughter is in ICU, used to be a client with ours. She was in non-compliance. She refused to go to a high level of care. We sent her to another agency. I don't know if she ended up going to the agency or not. But the end result is that she was in ICU just 4 days later from using fentanyl. From a treatment standpoint, we have Lima Municipal have an agency in Dayton, and the results that they're seeing in Dayton, we're actually starting to see in some of the results, some of the same substance that's coming into the Lima area. The mayor said it's a crisis, but I say it's an epidemic. It is serious. It is very serious. And it's ranged from 15 to 70. It doesn't discriminate female, African Americans, white, Caucasians. It does not discriminate. The thing it is that it's very dangerous. in the hope we can get all the communities involved to help us with this. If you see some things, notify the police. We work closely with the police. I talk with Josh Snyder on a daily basis. I spoke with Nick Hart last night to see how he can help serve us better in order to get some of these individuals that's struggling with addiction some help that they need.
I'm Terry Heights with Choices of Lima, Clinical Director. From what the standpoint we are seeing is it mirrors what Lima UMDOP's seeing. A very high percentage of our clients are also heroin addicts also. We also work with children. We're not seeing it in that level, thank goodness, but we are also seeing, Friday I had a client that contacted me. I actually went to the hospital to see her. Her drug test came back. She admits she's a heroin addict, but they didn't find heroin in hers. They found methamphetamine in hers. She told me, I've never done methamphetamine in my life. It's interesting how in the same thing, people are getting drugs, they do not know what they're getting. Seeing the same thing with people with an increased rise of marijuana. As Chief Martin said, it's just marijuana, it's natural. It's not natural when there's additives in it. I see it as basically the same problem as we seen in the 80s when cocaine was added into it, when PCP was added into it. It makes no sense from a treatment standpoint as to why would you do this. From a marketing standpoint, from somebody who's dealing drugs, it makes a lot of sense, unfortunately. I've seen a lot of families who's affected with this, with children. I have children in the community where I have twins that just graduated this year. One of their classmates died from a heroin overdose at 18 years old. Not to mention 18, 20 years olds. They are just dying. They think they're using Percocets. They're finding Percocets who's being pressed with the fentanyl. They're having an overdose. They're finding Xanax pressed with fentanyl in it. They don't know what they're using. They think it's a prescription drug, it's safe, it's not safe. So that's where we're looking at from a treatment standpoint, just the same as Jay's seeing too at his agency. Choices is in Toledo, Dayton, Columbus, we're seeing the same thing. We're seeing the terrible rise that's coming across Montgomery County. We're starting to see it here in Lima. So we've all got to do what we can do to bring awareness to this, that it's not just I'm doing an opioid, it's a Percocet, it's a Vicodin, it's a Xanax. It's a problem. Thank you.
Well, as everybody else has said, fentanyl is a real problem. I know in the last couple of weeks I've read at least 2 or 3 reports where somebody has OD'd, and when the officers revived them and asked them what they were on, they said all they had done is smoked marijuana. Now, in the past, that's not been necessarily something that would raise an eyebrow. People will always downplay maybe a more serious drug and admit to drinking or smoking marijuana and deny heroin or fentanyl, but it is a cause for concern that they are actually buying marijuana that is laced with fentanyl. One of the assistant prosecutors in the office, Nicole Smith, went to a training yesterday with the state crime lab dealing with drugs and drug driving, and the crime lab told the participants as of yesterday 1 in 20 drugs, any drugs from marijuana up to heroin, are laced with fentanyl. And as most of the people have said before me, the unsuspecting drug users are buying something that they think, I don't want to say safe, but is safer than fentanyl, and they're ODing. You know, they're buying marijuana thinking the last thing in the world is going to happen to them is they're going to OD, and then they OD. And the drug dealers aren't concerned with that. They're concerned with making money. And the issues with fentanyl are of great concern. Epidemic, as Jay said, because it's deadly.
Well, thank you all. We appreciate what you're doing.
Thanks.
I want to also just mention, because it's related, on Friday, there is a day-long training that's intended for the general public. at Lima Senior on this topic of addiction. And if you have family members who are addicts, you're being affected by this. You need to understand what's happening with your loved ones. And if you're in a professional circumstance, whether you're an employer or a colleague, and you know others that you're working with that are addicts, you need to understand addiction. So we want to encourage people to sign up. This is through the Mental Health Board, and it's taking place, I believe, begins at 8:30 on Friday morning at Lima Senior. Several other topics. I want to invite up Jodi Wiremen from the Apollo Career Center with information about several of their programs. Jodi, good morning.
Well, following that, I have something a little more positive to talk about. I'm with Aspire Able GED. I'm the coordinator of that program. But we just had our graduation in June with about 42 GED graduates and around 62 adult diploma graduates. And I just kind of want to talk about the adult diploma program that we're offering this year. Basically, they come through our Aspire Able GED program, and we help them prep academically, and then we can help them go into the adult diploma program, which is a program that's designed for anyone the age of 22 or over that does not have a high school diploma. And then they can, they have to pass what's called the Work Keys test, which is an entrance exam into any of Apollo's adult education programs. And then they can take, well, this year we're going to offer early childhood development, STNA, carpentry, plumbing, and there's a computer program. Sorry, one more. And once they pass the credential program, they're also awarded their high school diploma plus the industry credential. So it was a huge success last year. We have upcoming orientation next Tuesday, July the 18th, for anyone that would be interested. And again, it's anyone that doesn't have a high school diploma. They can come and receive or take classes to work towards their GED, or they could take classes to enter into the adult diploma program. Again, we had over 100 graduates last year, and we've had a lot of success, and we'd like to continue that. So thank you.
Thank you. And Vince Ozier from City's HR Department is here with information about some civil service tests that's coming up.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I'm Vince Ozier with the City Lima HR Department. Just want to remind everybody that the Civil Service Board will be conducting a civil service exam for Construction and Maintenance 1, which is an entry-level position in our Streets and Parks and Recreation Department. That test will be Saturday, July 22nd at 9 o'clock over here at the Veteran Memorial and Civic Center. You need to submit an application for that to be able to sit for that test. The application deadline is actually Friday at 4 o'clock. You can pick up the application either in this building up in our office up on the 3rd floor. I think they may even have some downstairs. Or you can go to the city's website and actually download an application. You can also get more information about the actual job posting at the city's website. So that's really all I have. Great. Thank you.
We all know that everybody's competing for lots of employees right now because there's enormous number of openings in our community. These are good paying jobs with the city with benefits, and we like to believe there's stability with these jobs too. So great opportunity. We want to encourage people to share the news about the opportunity. Lastly, Public Works Director Howard Elstro is here to talk about a major building renovation that we're about to engage in at just across the alley.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm here to announce the project of additions and renovations to the Hall of Justice building. The preceding presentation by the judges demonstrates that the courts are migrating into, and they have been for several years, different initiatives. And those different initiatives generate additional traffic in our public areas, especially the Hall of Justice. And the judges have been choked for space for their own staffs for some years. What this project is is an expansion of the Hall of Justice. It is a $2.1 million project, and it will begin to be advertised July 28th, and bid opening is August 23rd, and we anticipate that the actual construction will begin September 30th of this year and proceed through July of next year. This project includes expansions of the Hall of Justice to accommodate detective offices, men's and women's locker rooms for Lima Police Department offices, and makes additional space available for the judges and workers in the municipal court sections of the Hall of Justice building. The project will add approximately 3,600 square feet of usable space. It will repurpose existing space. It includes upgrades to data and communication systems, plumbing, electrical, and HVAC systems. Again, the cost of the project is $2.1 million. When complete, I think this building will be sufficient for both the current and proposed expansion of the Lima Police Department personnel, including officers, detectives, and supervisory staff. I have another announcement unrelated to this. Sure. I serve as the chairman of the Natural Resource Assistance Council. We refer to it as an NRAC. And it is responsible for distributing funds made available through what they call the Clean Ohio funds through the state of Ohio. This particular segment of the Clean Ohio funds is referred to as Green Space Conservation Funding. And I'm announcing today that we have $5.5 million available to distribute to local communities and nonprofit organizations whose purpose is to preserve natural areas, protect streams, and create outdoor recreational opportunities. The applications for green space improvements under the Clean Ohio program will be accepted from now through January 25th of 2018. District 13 is comprised of Allen County, Auglaize, Hancock, Logan, Mercer, Putnam, Shelby, and Van Wert counties. Anyone who is interested in applying for these funds can go to the website at the Ohio Public Works Commission, click on the green space tag. You'll see different districts. We are in District 13. Click on that, and all the information that I am sharing with you now and more, as well as the applications and the scoring methodology, appears at that website. It might be of interest that in this district, over the span that green space funds have been available, we have funded 46 different projects totaling $4.7 million. Of interest this year is a rule change made by the state. Previous rounds, there has always had to be a component of acquisition of new lands, and then you could also use some of these grant funds to improve those lands. And again, these lands are focused on the green space set-aside, conservation, wetland preservations, those kind of activities. It is not for what they refer to as active recreation, so you cannot use these funds to develop ball fields, soccer fields, playgrounds, and those kind of things. The rule change that has been made is, with this particular funding round, acquisition is not necessary as a component of funding if the applicant is asking for additional development money of a previously acquired green space set-aside project. So those 46 projects that we've already funded, if there are additional development needs that need to be done and were not able to be done because of funding requirements some 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 7 years ago, those applicants can reapply for development funds out of this round of funding. Thank you.
Thank you. It's an exciting opportunity to do some additional development. I do want to comment on the expansion of the Hall of Justice building. the discussions around this started about a year ago when conversation between myself and the chief, we identified the fact that in recent rounds of hiring for police officers, we have had a huge growth in the number of female officers that are now part of the department. And I think we had 2 locker rooms, locker spaces for women on the force. And we've now got, Chief, how many females are in the police department, civilians? And
Total about 25 or 26.
so we have an enormous number of female staff in the police department there, some in civilian positions, but many also as officers. And we just must accommodate their needs for locker room space, workout space, and the like. So that's what kind of started this. And it grew from, I think, what was then anticipated to be about a $500,000 project to, as we started moving things around and consulting with other occupants in the building, it became clear that we had to do more than just build locker room space. And so it's an exciting project. I think it really will address serious deficits and space needs in the Hall of Justice, but it will also be expensive, about $2.1 million, as Howard mentioned. So we look forward to that getting off the ground. I think that's all that we have for today, so we'll break down for interviews. Thank you.